In the last movie, we saw how we continue a loop if we did not want to execute the rest of it. In this movie, we're going to take a look at break. Let's go ahead and make ourselves a new file by doing save as. And we'll change it from continue to break. And we'll go ahead and change the top to be break. But unlike a lot of the other times, I'm going to go ahead and leave the function on the screen that you see there. So I can go ahead and save that. Now, the easiest way to show you what break will do is just to change continue into break. Now, it'll do exactly the same thing that continue did, but instead of getting that magic number of 5 and then just skipping the rest of the commands, it's actually going to break out of the loop at that point. Let's go ahead and save it and run it and see what happens. Remember to bring up break instead of .php instead of continue. And there you go. Everything in the loop completely ceases after we get to the number 5. If we follow this through step by step, count starts out at 0, it keeps getting incremented, count is equal to 5, so it satisfies the conditions of our if statement, and we break out of the loop. At that point, count is still equal to 5, that's where we're left, and we're completely out of the loop and moving on with the rest of our code. Another way we might use something like this is that earlier, when we were simply echoing back the count from 1 to 10, you notice that we had a comma at the very end. We were putting the number, comma, space, and so on. But how can we tell it that we don't want to have a comma at the very end of the number 10 because there's no value coming after that? Well, we could say if count is less than 10, then we want to put in the comma, echo that back. We know how to do that, and that certainly would work for us. But we could also just as easily say if count is equal to 10, then break. We're done. And then we would just need to break up our echo statement from above so that the comma was actually being printed below our break and not above it. There we go. Hopefully that makes sense. We've got the number being printed. It checks to see if count is equal to 10. If not, it does nothing. It goes ahead and prints the comma. But when count equals 10 on that final time, then it will just break out of the loop and not execute that final little bit of code. Let's go ahead and try that. Sure enough, now we have it without it. Now there's a lot of different ways to accomplish this same thing. Lots of programmers use different techniques to do it. But I want to make sure that you know we can be looping through, we can be looking for a value, we can be trying to accomplish something. And when we accomplish it, we don't have to keep running through the rest of our data. We can go ahead and just break out of the loop, knowing that we're done, and move on. So now that we understand the 3 different types of the loop structures and we know how to continue and break, the last thing I want to do before we move on is to look at while loops one more time and talk about pointers and how pointers work, because they're going to become important when we start working with databases.